Ray. What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
All right, yo, let's get into it.
Try to take over the world. Try to take over the world.
And greatest chaplain in the world, Mr. Lance
Try
O'Neill.
to take over the world.
I am still loving that intro, even a year later. Yo, what up, what up, what up, what up, everybody? It is Sunday. Do you know where your POGs are? Of course you do. We are here in the building, about to drop 90 minutes of sanity into your work week to get you going and close out another great weekend. Chappie, what up, man? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, but I don't know about 90 minutes. We'll see about that.
90 minutes or less, like pizza.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, gotta say 90 minutes or less. We are definitely gonna let's start with some housekeeping. Yo, starting next week, we'll be coming to you live 30 minutes earlier. We are bumping the time up. Time differences are kicking our perspective butt, so we're gonna bump the time up 30 minutes so you can see us 5 p.m. on the Pacific Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Starting next week, we're looking forward to giving you a little bit more time to stretch your legs, I guess, in our conversation, right?
Yes, and it works for me because I requested
it. Indeed. All right, so yo, we got a lot to talk about. We missed you guys last week, man. This administration does not disappoint. Chappie, where do you want to start, man? So much to talk about, so little time. What's on your mind?
So it's funny. I asked Grok what the 5 biggest stories of the week were: extreme heat in the U.S., Trump administration's immigration actions, SpaceX Starship test flight, Gaza famine and conflict, and Trump's National Guard deployment. And, for politics this week, I'm more familiar with what South Park did than anything that I read this week. But South Park absolutely nailed 2 of them with the immigration actions and the DC thing. I don't know if you watch South Park, but man, every week is a home run.
Yeah, I haven't catched it this week, man. It's recorded. I'm so behind on everything. Being out on the West Coast is a completely different animal. Like, I still haven't gotten my bearing right. We've been out here 3 months now, 2 months now. I don't know, man. It's just, life is so different being on the West Coast. It's interesting, right? Like, it's beautiful, but it's just not, it's one of the things you gotta love it or hate it, man. And it is not for me. I am East Coast. My bloodline is East Coast, and I don't think after this trip I'll be coming back unless I'm forced to. It's one of the things, man. Like, Cali it's a unique place. It's a different place. It's beautiful. The people are great. It's just a different. I don't know, man. It's like, it's almost surreal being out here, right? Like, it's like, man, I cannot. I don't know. I don't want to belabor the point. We don't have enough time to talk about my.
There's a weird vibe that comes along with California, and whether you want to call it political or just the people that are out there, because like you said, there's good people out there. Mm-hmm. But there's something about the vibe of the place. It's not like the cool hippie. Yeah. I don't want to say hippie. The cool, like, laid back surfer dude that was around in the 80s. It's because I was out there I lived there from 2008 to 2011. And it was starting to change, but I was in the Bay Area, so I was already in the thick of the blue, but you could see the creep going. And so it's so funny because a buddy of mine who's not very political, he texted me, he said, I love what Gavin Newsom's ex is doing just with the trolling of Trump.
Oh, the trolling, I will tell you, the trolling has been top tier, and it has been entertaining as hell to see it come from a different perspective. Like, I loved it when Trump was doing it, and now you have 2 opposing trollers, and it's phenomenal to me because both sides of the aisle are just freaking the hell out, right? So you got the blue team. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe Trump is getting up early in the morning tweeting like he has dementia. But then now you have the red team equally as pissed, and neither one of them can realize or see that they're both it's such a farce. It's hysterical. It's like, bro, come on, man. And like, I love that Gavin Newsom is like turning it up. And then like, even the Fox correspondents are like, how could he tweet like that? And I'm like, bro, like, have you not seen POTUS? Like, hello, Like, what are you doing, bro? It's.
Let me ask you a question though. First, do you think this is a legitimate question? Do you think it's Trump that is actually tweeting? Yes, right? It's Trump who's doing that. 95% of it.
He has to be. Because all right.
But do you believe it's actually Newsom tweeting?
No. It's a team. Yeah, it's a team. See,
that's the difference.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing. Anybody else, right? If we take the colors and the parties aside, right?
Sure.
If you put anybody else, right, and I tell you, hey man, the president of the United States goes on these wild tangents at like 4 a.m. and just bench tweets the most insane shit. You would say, hey man, that guy is not fit for president. Like a reasonable person would say, hey, we probably should be looking at changing out the president, right? We cannot, no honest, sane person can look at this POTUS and this administration and say with a straight face that they are confident in the way this country is being run. Like you cannot.
Well, I will say this. And I said this about Obama. I said this about Trump. I said it about Bush. I don't care what they say. I care what they do. So when Trump, I think Trump is one of these guys that you hear about every once in a while, the guys that really do live off of 2 or 3 hours of sleep. And the rest of the time, they might as well be on coke because they're just going all the time. I think it's a weird, rare genetic thing that happens to some people. And whether it's an advantage or disadvantage, I can last a few days going on 4 or 6 hours of sleep. And that's about it. And then I've got to get I'm doing the whole weekend thing. Even if I'm getting 7 hours of sleep at night on the weekend, I need to get that 10 hours both days to catch up on my sleep. But there are those people that are able to run on no sleep. And I think Trump is one of those people. Now, whether it catches up to him on the tweets or not, I don't know. But the administration side of it, I still go back and I think you'll agree with me on this, is the administration can do what the administration can do in large part when the legislature washes their hands of their own duties. Now, whether you agree with what's going on with the administration or not, and this is not about any specific policy, because I have a different Twitter feed than you do, and I still see a lot more positive towards Trump and the administration than you do. But I think that when you have an administration that is really unique, like Trump is the first guy to win the presidency with a gap year since, who was it? Was it Garfield that did that? I don't even remember who it was. Somebody that re-won. But it was one of the
Roosevelts.
I don't think it was a Roosevelt. I think it was someone else. But you Google it while I'm checking. But you have a situation where Trump is president, then he loses, and he has 4 years to just kind of throw out the tweets with no real consequences, and then he's targeted by the Biden administration, by Letitia James.
It was Cleveland.
It was Cleveland. Okay. And by the New York prosecutor's office and all these things. And so while this is happening, he is taking names. He is making a list and saying, okay, I'm still in control of the party. I'm still going to have a chance to run again. And when I do, I'm coming back with a vengeance. And he even told, there was a level of, okay, just if I win, just watch out. And now we're seeing that. We've seen John Bolton, his house get raided. There was somebody else this week that got raided. And I have to kind of laugh at the left freaking out about this because their guy started it. Like if Biden hadn't raided or approved the raid, and people can say, well, it wasn't really Biden. Okay, he's the president. He's responsible. If he hadn't raided, Mar-a-Lago, then this tit for tat stuff, I really don't think would have been happening.
Really?
And
You don't think?
maybe I don't think so. I think New York, some of it might have been. Some of it, like, what did the Trump administration go after Letitia James for? Something like mortgage fraud or something, or
Something weird. It didn't
something
stick.
like
It
that,
got
right?
thrown out. Yeah, it got thrown out.
Well, it hasn't stuck yet because did it get thrown out like last week? Because okay, I didn't read that,
It
but
didn't get. It's
but
just
they're gonna go ahead.
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
No, I was just gonna say that there are going to be, and there is an enemies list, right? But to pretend that Trump is the first one with the enemies list is kind of funny. Like, enemies lists have gone back as long as politics have. As people these people who run in politician circles and get that taste of power, whether it's in the House, whether it's in the state house, they look at themselves and they think, how dare you? How dare anyone question me? Okay, I'll remember that. I tell this to my kids, but as a dad, it's a little bit joking. Like, one of my kids splashes me with water or something, I was like, okay, just remember, I don't get mad. I get even. I've told my kids that forever. They all know it. I don't tell them when I'm going to do it. And most of the time, I don't really, it might be right then, a little and it's always it's a tickle. I've never, like, they splash water on my face, and I've never turned around and dumped a bucket of water on them in the shower, cold water or anything. But I think that because Trump had those 4 years off, and he wasn't left alone. Now, you can say he still painted the target on himself, but instead of just being allowed to vent and rant and with no consequences, the Democrats took him too seriously, which is ironically why he was in office in the first place, because all the media outlets on the left wanted Trump in there because they thought Hillary would steamroll him. So I don't know. I look at a lot of this. I look at a lot of the trolling and everything as entertainment. The best troll I saw this week, and I have not been online much, the best troll I saw was, we are entering year 20 of Gavin Newsom's 10-year plan to clean up San Francisco. I thought that one was pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. I don't know, man. Everything I thought this administration would be has come around tenfold, right? We have a clear understanding of what time period MAGA is and was. When they say make America great, we understand what we're facing with, right? It's to the point to where it's like, okay, well, I don't know. You get to a point to where you kind of realize that ultimately there is no hope, almost to the point where you're like, all right, cool. This could have been prevented. But then you say, all right, well, why would they? Right? Like, it's wild how you try to hold people, right? Politicians are leaders at face value, right? For years, people, would say, oh, well, this is the guiding whatever, right? This is the unbreakable line. This is the unbreakable line. And then you notice how quickly that line shifts when political interests change, right? And it's fascinating because we've been here, like I said, we've been here before. None of this is new in American history, right? None of this is new. The gerrymandering, the trying to consolidate power. Like I told you before and right up until the election, I was doing a lot of studying in post-Reconstruction, right? I was doing a lot of it. And you saw a lot of these similar things kind of happening right after Reconstruction, right? You had like a 14-year period where things were good, right? Good in terms of getting better, right? You had moderately equal representation. The Reconstruction amendments passed and everything. And then right after that, you kind of saw this consolidation of power. It's like, all right, wait a minute. We need to change things because we don't like the way the country is going, right? So what you saw was the systemic dismantling of representation and the rallying around a more conservative front in terms of guiding the country. And that's kind of what led into the Jim Crow era in terms of legislation. A lot of that is sort of starting to mirror itself. You know what I'm saying? You start to see it, but I mean, it is what it is. It's not something that we haven't gone through before. It's one of them things, man. It's a weird time. It is a weird time watching people. Like I've seen, like the press secretary, Caroline Levitt, will literally get on television and give a press briefing and say one thing and get questioned about it, not even 5 minutes later, and say a completely different thing and look at the reporter as if they're dumb. And I'm just like, somebody has to hold account to that. I mean, ordinarily, but I'll give you this. I'll say in a normal administration, right, there is a little bit of play, right? Like, all right, cool. You can have one or two guys that are just loony bins, right? This administration is so filled with Looney Tunes that it's almost that people are going numb to the insaneness. You know what I mean? Like and that's a dangerous place to be, because once you go numb to it, once you just assume it is natural, like I will tell you, there's no way in hell, right? As a Republican, as a libertarian, as an American, where you will sit back and say, hey, Joe Biden just sent the National Guard into Arkansas with Governor Sarah Huckabee into Little Rock because their crime rate is ridiculous. And he's sending the National Guard in to police the crime rate. And everybody goes, okay, I'm cool with that because I want the crime rate. No, that would not happen. You know why that would not happen? Because traditionally, Republicans, libertarians, constitutionalists would say, hey, that's not what the National Guard's for. That governor has to guard, do their own thing. But here you say, okay, well, Washington, D.C. is a unique situation, right? The president has control of Washington, D.C. Perfect. So now the president says, you know what? I'm going to go to Chicago next. And nobody's out crying. No Republicans, no libertarians, no constitutionalists are out crying. The whole point of the revolution, in the movement, right, was to prevent British occupation, right? They had an issue with the occupation of the government. Now it's like, I'm cool with it. And that's what we talked about, the slippery slope, and I'm about to wrap it up, but we talked about the slippery slope a while ago, right? What line is too far? Where is the line, right? We say, well, he's not necessarily doing that. Okay, well, we're putting up Confederate monuments. Oh, he's not necessarily doing that. Oh, well, we're rolling back DEI and affirmative action. Oh, that's not really it, right? Where is the line? So now we literally have troops in the streets for crime, right? But they're not focusing on crime. They're policing the states. Where is the line to where we say, okay, as libertarians, as Republicans, as Americans, we say, hey, man, this is not America. This is not what we do. And we don't have that line anymore. Everybody's just like, it's cool. As long as it's a Republican doing it, as long as it's the red team doing it, I'm fine with it.
So let me ask you this, KJ. What was in place to keep somebody from stealing weapons out of the arms room?
What do you mean? You talking about the
if a thief wanted to go in and break into a military arms room, what would stop them?
Outside of them not having the alarm or the key or anything like that? Like, what are you getting at?
From the start, I'm planning a robbery to go break into an arms room of Rando Unit Alpha Company 111 in Fort Belvoir.
I mean, you would need access, right?
Well, that's okay. So tell me what is there that is in place to stop them.
The gate, the door, the unit being locked up.
Keep going.
And then there's controls in place, right?
Okay. So you have the base, right? Yeah. Okay. And if you get through the base, then you have to get through the gate that surrounds the unit. Generally, there's a gate that surrounds the unit itself. You have to get into the building where the arms room is. Then you have to get through either the door or the wall.
Yep.
Right. Then you have to disarm or disable or go quickly enough that the IDS system, which is the alarm system, doesn't catch you. You have to get through the locks of the weapons. Then you have to, and then you have access, right?
Sure.
So none of those are there to stop somebody from stealing. They are there to deter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason I'm saying that is if you are in DC or Chicago or Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, red state. So if you see a bunch of National Guard guys sitting around and you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to go into this store and I'm going to do a snatch and grab, but you see 4 soldiers sitting there on the corner, 2 down there, 2 down there, are you going to think twice about potentially doing a snatch and grab?
Sure, I guess. Yeah.
So to me, that's all this is. This is an escalation of force as a deterrent.
So we're cool with a police state as long as it's
well, because Washington D.C. is such a unique situation.
But Chicago's who's the next plan? I mean, right. I'm not guessing at this point. He's literally put out plans to send National Guard troops to our cities, and
he's saying Chicago's next.
Americans are just like, that's cool.
Okay, I think so. Great. So here's the other part of that, and this is where you get into libertarian, left, right, stir it up. Who believes what, right? Because on one side you have law and order conservatives, Republicans, even Democrats say, look, the crime is out of control in these major cities. So we need to do something because the mayors and the governors aren't doing anything about it. And then you have people who go, well, you know what, it's not the place of the federal government to do this because of states' rights. And if it's not there in the Constitution, the 10th Amendment kicks in and it's only up to the states. And then you have people that say, well, it's bad if the Republicans did this, but if the blue state, if the Democrats had done this or the left had done this, that's actually what we really want. So it's bass backwards, because while you want crime to go down and you want the police to enforce the law and you want the police to do their jobs, it used to be that a Republican would have said, no, I absolutely don't want any military on the streets because that's a police state, the government. And you would have had Democrats, like you said, if Joe Biden had done this, you would have had the blue team going, yes, absolutely. The government needs to step up. We need to protect our cities, people from themselves, because the blue team, as it were, has been more about, hey, we know better than you and we're taking care of you. So with this administration, it's all kind of gone out the window, because the joke is, if Trump came out, what is something that Democrats just absolutely 100% believe in? Let's say abortion, right? So if Trump came out and said, I think we should absolutely have a free for anybody who wants to have an abortion, that should be a federal right for everybody, and I'm going to do it. You'd have people on the Democratic side going, wait, what do we do? We're supposed to hate Trump. No, you can't do this. So it's the weirdest political situation. This is not a normal political situation that we've seen maybe ever. So I wonder how much of it, and I understand you're saying Reconstruction, and I understand some of the things that you're talking about. I don't think it's comparable necessarily to say 150 years later, the same playbook's going to work. Because remember, you had football in the 1880s and you had baseball in the 1880s, but they might have even been the same rules. but it's not the same game.
I mean, people
So
are still in the wing T in high school to success. So let me ask you then, what is
sure.
the line? We'll say, okay, cool. They're not running the same playbook, but it's pretty goddamn similar. So what's the line? So we're restricting. We're restricting representation and redistricting to consolidate power, right? Whether it's red or blue, I'm against it. So it's not a red
There
or
you
blue
go.
issue. It's what we're doing, right?
Well,
We are
but
we're
at what
wait,
point do you say? At what point do you say? Well, somebody should stop it, and neither
well,
side has. This is the natural progression, unfortunately.
well, the easiest part is to push legislation, which Congress is finally, at least some congressional members are pushing, saying that hey, redistricting gerrymandering should be illegal. So,
Should.
but it's not just that though. So we have the president saying things like, hey, well, the states are there to serve the nation, right? So no states' rights. So we're reducing states' rights at the behest of the president, right? We have a judicial system who is they're not necessarily exceedingly conservative, but they have definitely been leaning that way. Not if not on the federal level, definitely the regional circuits. And I asked you, what is the line? So what is the line? When do we say, okay, we have crossed the line of authoritarianism, right? What part do we say, okay, troops in the street is not enough. Immigration, snatch and grabs, grabbing people and violating due process is not enough. Retaliating against the press and restricting free speech is not enough. At what point then do we say, okay, that's the line that we crossed? Is it when they say, okay, we've done everything else, now it's time to turn in our guns? Is that the line?
Yes. That I think that might be the line, because everything you just said is either a direct consequence of actions that have already passed or have already been done in the past. And you say, again, great example, the press. Well, I give you Exhibit 1, Cheryl Atkinson. Cheryl Atkinson is still fighting because the Obama administration basically went in and put spyware on her computer. She still has a federal lawsuit going on. She's still trying to get information about what happened to her laptop, et cetera, et cetera. You've had instances of troops in the street here and there. Now, given it has not been the way it is now. What was the other example you gave?
No, before then, my question is, all right, if we say, hey, what happened to Cheryl Atkinson is horrible, right? That is horrific. That is a gross overreach of government power, right? And we can both look ourselves in the eye and say, hey, we agree that is wrong. Why can we not come to that same agreement when it comes to this administration? Except this administration, so now the rhetoric has changed.
Tell me the story. Tell me the story. I don't know what's going on with that.
You said Cheryl Atkinson getting the spyware put on her computer and being restricted and not being able to report the press free, right? So this administration, in several instances, have restricted journalism, right? I mean, you have the president of the United States publicly advocating for journalists to be fired, right, on a consistent basis. Like, yes. And
no, that's fine.
But what I'm saying is, I can sit back and I can tell you as an American, hey, that is wrong. What Obama did was wrong. Journalists need free speech. But when it comes to Trump, it's like, oh, well, because it was done, and it was wrong then, but nobody said anything, we're going to be cool with it being wrong now, and we just don't let it go.
But I think there's degrees too. There's a difference between President X authorizing an intelligence agency going in and actively going into a journalist and their spyware, or arresting a journalist at a federal level and throwing him in jail because they won't reveal sources, which is protected by the First Amendment, and a President Y saying, hey, I think this dude's an idiot, you should get rid of him, and then the company going along with that. Now, should the president be saying, I don't like Jim Acosta because he's a douchebag? He should be above that. But we've seen that the we've seen that the I'm not even sure what the word is. The gravitas that should be part of the office doesn't exist anymore and has not existed at least for a decade. And you have, I think Obama still had the gravitas, but that started eroding with the press going back to the second Bush administration, or I mean, Bush Jr., Bush W.
We said the Patriot Act had a lot to do with it, right? Like the Patriot Act had a lot to do with giving access, and that was a Bush two,
yeah,
era thing. That just kind
of and I didn't agree. I didn't agree with the Patriot Act then either. But at the same time, like I look. Okay, tin hat time. You and I we like our tin hats, right?
I do. I can't find it. I lost it in the move. I got to make another.
Yeah, but the tin hat stuff. I mean, the tin hat stuff goes back as far as the Republic. I mean, but even in recent times, you look at the tin hat stuff and you go, what was going on in Oklahoma City when McVeigh and Nichols both were not only arrested but were executed in dang near record time? There were multiple reports of multiple Middle Eastern A and Middle Eastern person B that were never really followed up on. It's almost like those stories just kind of disappeared. You had the bombing of remember the World Trade Center got bombed before 9/11, and the plan was to bring it down. And it was kind of like, okay, so you have the sheik, the blind sheik, who's the mastermind of this, but you don't have any of the people that actually did it. And then and so 9/11 happens, and then the Patriot Act happens. And I'm not a 9/11 truther, just for the record, but I think that the government, I know you are to a degree. You have more unanswered questions than I do. I just my Occam razor goes off too much with 9/11, but I get it. We're not. But my point is, my point is that you have these things happen. You and I both, on one side, because we have served in the military and because the military was our lives, we were willing to be part of a federal government that we had questions with, but we had taken an oath to the Constitution and to the country, which still, whether you're still in or not, I'm still in or not, that will always be there. We could be 80 years old and we will both still uphold our oaths. But at the same time, we both have, and maybe not everybody else, but we both have a very healthy skepticism of both sides of the aisle. I'm not MAGA. I never have been MAGA. My whole thing with Trump is I still believe the Dem would have been worse. But at the same time, when you say where the line is, I think the line really is guns. You want to lose me? You want me to turn around and say, this dude needs to go, 100% needs to go? Is it minute he says, you know what, maybe gun registrations is a good idea, and I'll go, done. Nope, out.
Being okay with doing away with the Voting Rights Act and the Supreme Court rulings. And
we can go into those individually, because
being okay with all of that is fine. But this is where we say, okay, that's it. Guns is like the last step. By then, everything else is done.
Well, because the reason I look at those differently is those are legislative, right? The Voting Rights Act is never going to, the way we are in America 60 years later, KJ, nobody is going to be in front of the polling place and say, hey, you, Epitaph, you can't come in here, right?
I don't know.
I do. I don't. The only example we've seen of that in the last 20 years was actually the Black Panther Party staying out in front and telling white people go away, right? So
no.
And hold on. Fanatic says it's too late. That's not liberty, is it? No. Fanatic.
That's
Fanatics. Okay, he says that it's too late when they come for your guns. I disagree. Because guns.
Hey man, welcome back, Liberty. I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, man. Glad to see you doing okay. I got worried for a little while. Go ahead, my bad. I ain't mean to
okay, no problem. Because I look at guns and Fanatic, you can believe that all this stuff leads to a civil war. KJ and I have talked about this. To me, none of this leads to a civil war. The next civil war is not going to be based on race. It's going to be poor against rich. That's the next one. If there's a civil war, that's where it's going to come from. But as far as guns go, like realistically, guns are the great evener. If a woman goes out on a date and the dude is attempting to rape her, the gun makes it even. And you can be like, well, he can take the gun away. Yeah, but he can also murder her if she doesn't have a gun if he wants to, right? Somebody comes into your store to take your things, the gun is a great equalizer. Somebody breaks into your house, the gun is a great equalizer. If federal troops, KJ, you and I both probably, if we hear somebody from our Ring doorbell at 4 a.m. go, bing, bing, someone's at your front door, you and I probably have a plan of action that's very similar. And if that bing, bing that comes in is federal officers or police that don't identify themselves, personally, I am against no knock. But if they come in, you know what? Someone's getting shot, me or them. So, okay. Class war already. Yeah. Okay, comrade. So I don't think it's a class war right now. I really don't think we're not at that point, and it could be eventually. But the average American, KJ, you and I, we have fun talking about this, right? Okay. We enjoy talking about politics.
Sure.
But there is so little that affects us day to day. The one thing that affects us both day to day is, and everybody, AJ, we've talked about this with AJ too, it's our wallet, right? Yeah. So you can say, well, this is bad and that's bad and Biden did this well and Trump did this bad, blah, blah, blah. And I look at it and I go, the biggest thing that's hurt me in the past 10 years was nearly a year of month over month was the Biden inflation that hit a 10% mark, right? So yes, Fanatic, I think little affects the average American person.
We have, and one of the things that's going to be telling is going to be these next couple months. The way this year ends is going to be telling for this administration, because I've been telling people, the effects of the tariffs and all that other stuff, because they weren't properly implemented, and it takes time for the world economy to react. You're not going to see instant. So like January, sure. February, March, April, it was like, oh, well, the tariffs are doing this, that, and the other. No, they're not, because it hasn't shown effect. The Fed literally just reported this month that we are just now starting to see the effects of the first round of tariffs put in the spring.
I thought there was something that came out last month that said the increase was something like $200 billion. But then the people who were against Trump said, well, yeah, but the American people are paying it, which is true to some degree, of course.
But neither one of that's true, because there's no way to quantify it. They're saying, so what happened was there was an influx of revenue that mysteriously came into the government coffers, right? But the Fed didn't verify it. The federal chair said he hadn't seen anything, right? That it was put out by the administration saying that we got all these, these trillions of dollars have come in over the last couple of months, right? But
I thought they said hundreds of billions. I don't think they said trillions, did they?
Hundreds of billions. But the Fed is like, where are you getting this money from? that's what initially started their this round of their beef. Because right, Trump hasn't been a fan of this Federal Reserve chairman. Wow, right? Which is weird because he's the one that nominated him, but I digress. But one thing the Fed chair has been honest about is like, hey, we don't know. It could be good, it could be bad. We just don't know. So I'm not gonna mess with interest rates until we know how the tariffs are gonna affect us. Right. And that's kind of where we had the issue at. But prices have been rising. I mean, so the big thing, right, was eggs, right? I'll never forget the image of the vice president in the store talking about eggs, right? Well,
sure.
Price of eggs have been up 21% on average, right? Price of beef, meats, consumables, all of this is all going up. Now, depending on what economic, which economic source you go from, it'll either go left or right from here, right? They'll say, oh, well, the tariffs are going to course correct. Some people are saying we're going to be, in the middle of a recession by Christmas. We don't know. But it's just interesting, right? It's interesting how the needle gets slid one way or the other, right? Even with the POTUS, right? When the numbers are being reported that, the economy was growing and everything was down, love the numbers. The minute the numbers went the wrong way, the numbers got changed out, right? I mean, but that's consistent with this administration. You even had the SecDef last week, fired the dude who said the intel report for the Iranian strike wasn't going to stop the production. So he ended up getting fired. So at this point, it's like, I mean, it doesn't take a conspiracy theorist, right, to say that if you report bad news or if you have news that's not going to portray this administration in the best light, you're flirting with your job security at this point. And I think that's not. But
that's always so. It's unfortunately been very traditional that when a new administration comes in, they get rid of political people that don't agree with them. That's that's always but
you don't fire them because they're doing their job. That part is what's atypical, right? That part we can agree that it's atypical. Hey, the NSI director reported that, hey, that Iranian strike is only going to set Iran back a couple of months. We've done this. How many times have we struck at Iranian nuclear facilities and had that same report come out? And this is the only time I can remember a general being relieved of his post for reporting it. I can't recall another time where the Secretary of Defense was like, hey, you know what? We don't like that you reported that. I can't.
So I don't know. I saw that he got relieved and there was somebody else that got relieved too. And again, I do think there's a level of you serve at the president's will. I mean, there is that level. I believe that the military guy, both of them, they're the two that I saw, but they're both relieved for lack of confidence, which is
confidence,
yeah. But the problem is lack of confidence is usually and has often been used to protect them from really what happened. Like we probably both know generals that were dipping their ink pen into the wrong well.
Quite a bit.
And so when they were relieved of command, it was due to lack of confidence.
Right.
So, there again, I think there's a level of the administration gets to pick and choose. This goes back to, I think it was either Jefferson or Adams that basically started firing people from the previous administration and said, I want to put the people in place that I like. It was nepotism back then.
That was old Hickory.
It was even older than that. It's older than Andrew. Was it Andrew Jackson? I thought it was even older. No, I'm pretty sure it's even older than that. But okay, let's say it's Andrew Jackson. Then fine. That's still been the norm then for almost 200 years worth of presidents.
I don't like I said, I don't have an issue with it per se, right? I have an issue with people pretending like it doesn't happen or like, oh, this is okay, right?
I'm saying it does absolutely happen. And Fanatic points out, says it's BS cover for I don't like you. Yeah, but okay. Yeah. But the president has the right. You don't have to like it. I don't have to like it. I'm sure, there's plenty of times where Republicans have been out of a job because the new administration, the Biden administration, or the Obama administration, the Clinton administration came in and said, we don't want you in that position. We got somebody else that we want to bring in. Right or wrong, I'm just saying unfortunately, this is not new. This is the norm.
Yeah. That's the rules of the game. Yeah. Like I said, that part I don't have an issue with, right? But like, I get it. You got to spin it how you spin it.
I'm not even trying to spin it. I just
I'm not you.
Oh, okay.
Like, so my issue is we are at the point where are we even 6 months in yet? I think we are 6 months in, right? Or a little bit this is an 8 months. Yeah. So we see now that this administration, right? Like all the worst things that I said, my biggest fears for this administration are, right? Trump is basically at the wheel driving a car that he has no control over, right? You got administration officials. I knew immigration was going to be a big deal, but then we talked about, the alligator Alcatraz, the snatch and grabs, grabbing people off the street, the ICE agents doing the raids, the activating National Guards, without the permission of the governors. You got redistricting and basically telling you the only reason why we're doing this is so that we can keep seats. Like that part, I believe, for me, that's a bridge too far, right? Like, all right, I know this happens, right? I'm not naive enough to say, oh, well, this is new or this is, what a dastardly tactic, right? But if you're going to come flat out, right, and say, hey, look, the only reason we're doing this is because I want these seats at the midterms, and then have people come back and tell me, oh, well, the reason they're doing it is because the Democrats did it 5 years ago.
Well, of course that's why. But KJ, yeah, we can both sit here and say it's wrong, but like you just said, it's been going back forever. I mean, gerrymandering is not just we can both sit here and we can both say it's wrong. You shouldn't have gerrymandering. Great. I agree with you. That said, gerrymandering has been going on for 50 years. It's not BS Fanatic. Gerrymandering has been gone forever. Go back and look. You want to, KJ, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. If you go and you look and you say, what are the 10 worst gerrymanderings in America? 5 of them were Republican, 5 of them were Democrat. This happens.
Yeah, we pulled that up week 4 last.
Yeah. So this happens. This unfortunately is a very normal thing. And so if Trump comes up and says, well, I want these seats because California's done it first, or New York's done it, or Illinois has done it, whatever, and we're all freaking about it. I'm Fanatic. It is absolutely the same BS that's been happening. I'm not supporting it. I'm saying it's happened. It's not new. And as long as one group is going to do it, you can't then turn around and say it's not fair for the other group to do it. I agree with KJ. We both agree it shouldn't be done. But because it is part of the political system, it's been done in the past. It will continue to be done. And until the legislature, the federal government passes a law. Hey, KJ, we need to write this down. One of our let's vote on our amendments. The amendments for our Constitution.
That's going to have to be an amendment.
Yes, is how do we pass a constitutional amendment that outlaws or makes gerrymandering illegal or whatever the word is, unconstitutional? Because right now,
all they got to do is a senator submitted legislation week before last on outlawing gerrymandering.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he does, because here's the thing. You can pass, let's for argument's sake, say the Senate wrote a non-gerrymandering law, right? That said gerrymandering is not to be done in any state in any way. It doesn't matter, because the Supreme Court has said it's up to the states, and the states can do whatever they want to do their redistricting. So until you have a constitutional change, it's not going to matter. Now, I did want to touch one thing. The Liberty's bringing up. Thanks, Liberty. I appreciate that. Lots of people are extremely against what's going on with Trump's immigration stuff and what you said with Alcatraz, the alligator Alcatraz. But there's also lots of people who said, this is why I voted for him. Okay, so when you have, was that your watch? What was that? So
the other monitor firing up.
Okay, so when you have lots of people on the right like one thing and lots of people on the left dislike one thing, or vice versa, that's the politics of it, right? That just happens. But what Trump has to be concerned about is when something like the National Guard going into DC. Now, I don't know if it was a national poll. It might have been a local poll. And if it was a local poll, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter. But I saw something like 80 or 78.
That was the national poll.
Okay, so if 78% of nationally are against the deployment of National Guard in Washington, D.C., my guess is that deployment is going to end sooner than later, because the one thing that drives Trump are the polls.
It's the slippery slope. But so a couple of things I got to go back and address. We're talking about Trump deportations, right? In 8 months, 6 months. Yep. Obama had 8 years. And if the numbers are matching already, we're in bad precedent. Matter of fact, Nebraska is, I read the report that Nebraska is on the verge of needing a federal bailout because they lost the subsidies for USAID, which was a big driver of their economic budget.
Because they bought food from Nebraska to send to other countries, right?
And in addition to that, they lost their workforce because Nebraska had a huge population of illegal immigrants that was working the fields. And due to the ICE raids, they didn't have anybody to yield the fields for the farmers who were still going. So, like I said, I only say that to say that we don't know the effects of these policies yet.
Sure. Right?
But I told you, I said it's going to take about a year. If we can get through the first year of this administration, the country may have a very different outlook. Because one thing we know about America, whether you can call me whatever, America does not turn until white people are impacted, right? Good or bad, indifferent. America does not pivot until white people are impacted.
Let me clarify something you just said. I need to understand what you say when you say this. What do you mean by survive the first year of this administration?
The same way we had to survive the first year of Biden's administration. You have to wait. Like, you can't be brash, right? Everybody, 6 months in, everybody was like, oh, Biden's going to ruin the country. We'll never have an election again. I was like, let's give it some time. Let's see, right? Because his first 6 months, that's when he put out the whole Build Back Better plan and the infrastructure and this, that, and the other, right? And people automatically was like, oh, it's the worst plan ever. It'll kill this, it'll kill that. And I was like, let's give it a year and a half. Let's see. Let's give the policy time to be implemented to see how it affects the country. Now, depending on how you interpret the numbers, that's on you, but you get a very good view. Like, if I was to gauge POTUS Trump on his economic agenda right now, I would be no different than anybody throwing shit on the wall, depending on which way I lean, right? If I was a blue guy, I'd say Trump has been the worst 8 months of, American history, and it's only going to get worse from here. If I was a red team guy, I'd say, man, America's back. We're doing great. You know, we're getting everything we voted for and some, right? But neither case is true because we don't know. We don't know what the policies are going to look like. And until we give it time to flush through the system, then we'll be able to say, you know, honestly, all right, cool. Hey, man, Christmas sucked. We didn't have any toys because the tariffs stopped everything. I'm paying, you know, whatever. You know, it costing me, you know, $60 just to get a ribeye now. You know, one ribeye from the grocery store. That policy doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? We have to give it time. It doesn't. We don't know. So,
yeah. So it depends on what it is. Like the only thing I've been hit from that I've seen from the tariffs was the alternator for my car cost $1,100 for the part. I don't know how much alternators were before that, but it was nice that right after we did that, within 4 weeks, my daughter got in an accident and totaled the car, which was fun. So yeah, but one of the things with that is that, like you said, we're not going to know because of time, and that's always I've always said that the economy is freaking the Titanic. It turns slowly.
But let me jump in real quick. Hold
on. At all. Yeah.
Let me jump in real quick because let's not be naive enough to not think that these capitalist organizations are not taking advantage of the news media and the threat, right?
Sure.
These corporations are like, oh God, hey, you need to come in and buy this stuff now because the prices are going to be a lot higher in 6 months because of the tariffs, right? So there's a capitalist aspect to the corporations too. Like people are raising their prices just on the scare alone. Corporations
take advantage of fear?
See, that's
no.
You know what I'm saying? That's my point. So where people will misconstrue, let's say Kroger, right? Or Safeway, right? Safeway will raise their grocery prices to increase their profit margin, right? Sure. And the average American will sit back and say, depending on what part of the world you're in, you say, look at those tariffs. The only reason the eggs are more expensive is because of tariffs, right? Where in actuality, it was just a district manager saying, hey, man, we could probably get a little bit more on the back end if we raised our prices, right?
You know what's funny about that? I saw a story this week, and we've only got 3 minutes, so I'll use this as my last word. I saw a story this week that some dude who works at an egg farm, he says, you know, I work in a major whatever they call hen house, you know, that produces eggs. And he said, I'm in charge of the boxes, like the packaging of these eggs. And the eggs come down the line and we put them all into the package. And then the next eggs come along and we put those in. So those organic eggs and the ones you get from Walmart and the name brand eggs that get stamped and all that, they're all the same freaking eggs. The only thing we change is just the box.
Yeah.
And so people are always like, you have people, depending on where you live, you have people who will go out and go to Trader Joe's and say, these eggs cost me $12 for a dozen, but they're organic. Yeah. And that's why I love them. And they are the exact same eggs that cost $3.50 at Walmart. So organizations are gonna work like corporations for money. Gasp! Yeah. I'm shocked.
It's unfortunate, but I guess the web runs deep, right? The well runs deep, and we'll figure it out, man. It's that hour goes by way too fast. All right, yo, just to recap, guys, we're starting 30 minutes earlier. So again, 5 p.m. West Coast, 8 p.m. East Coast starting next week, so we can try to get a full 90 minutes in. Talk to you guys. Yo, Low Life Biggs, what up, man? That's family right there. Fanatic, Liberty,
awesome.
I'm glad to see you alive, brother. Glad to see you back. We look forward to seeing you next week, man. Fanatic, always a pleasure having you on. Chappie, we got 30 seconds before we up out of here, good brother.
I'm going to bed. Just end it so I can go to bed already.
You are being worn down, man. Summer
I gotta
break.
get up I hated the military getting up at 6 a.m. This is the same crap. And I have the next 10 years to look forward to it.
Oh, my Lord. All right, man. 8 o'clock. Remember, we'll see you guys 8 o'clock, 5 p.m. See you guys next week. We up out of here.
Gee, Ray, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
All right. Yo, let's get into it.
Try to take over the world. Try to take over the world.
And greatest chaplain in the world, Mr. Lance
Try to
O'Neill.
take over the world.